All right. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I just wanted to make sure I put up my fair use background. All right, let's just get right on into it. Okay. How do I get myself back to my normal self? Let's see here. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Black Opinionated Woman, also known as a Bo. And we're going to be talking about episode 6 of And Just Like That. That is the Sex in the City reboot. For those of you who are new to my channel, I talk about three things. One, Black women. Two, Black culture. Three, anything with middle age, to include getting older, parenting, basically anything with middle age. So the reason why I like to recap And Just Like That is because that was part of, I would say, my fabric growing up, right? In my 20s and 30s. So Sex in the City was more for my generation. And now that most of us are basically in our midlife crises, we are Gen X. So Gen X is middle age. And so Sex in the City back in the day talked about, I guess, things that were the times for us. So now, as we've all gotten older, these are the types of things we can talk about. So let's get right on into it. Okay. Let me see here. Do you guys see this? All right. So this is what I am talking about. So, did it suck less? I don't know. Let's get right on into it. This is the thing. I think that episode 6 was better. I mean, it sucked less. I mean, I'm still on a Charlotte sucks train, right? But let's talk about it for a second. Let me take this banner down. So let's get right on into it. So Carrie is looking for an apartment. You know what? I think I have the trailer. Let me go ahead and bring up this trailer real quick, okay? So you guys bear with me because I'm going between different things. Okay, let's see. Can I just play it from here? How do I do that? All right, I'm going to play the trailer for the first 6 seconds. Okay.
I've had fun downtown and I've cried downtown, but never lived downtown.
All right, did you guys catch that? Hopefully you guys caught that. Okay. So Carrie's looking for an apartment, right? So she's in her chic outfit. She's looking good. Okay. Let me go back to bring this back up. So she's looking good. But this is the question I had. What happened to, like, are you serious right now? Let's go back. I did not say change. I want to know what happened to all the color. What happened to all the color? So she left Big's apartment, or the apartment she shared with Big. And remember, several episodes back, she said, I felt like it was the opposite from The Wizard of Oz. I felt like I was going from color to sepia versus sepia to color. So I find it strange that she's looking for an apartment that is all white. It is very contemporary. Can you see in the background there? There's Seema. I'm not sure if you guys can see that back there, but there's Seema. You know, basically, I think she can do no wrong at this point. She's practically perfect in every way. I mean, I know she's not, but just roll with me. All right. So look, she's looking for an apartment, but she's in this all white apartment downtown. Okay, that's not typical with what Carrie is, but I guess they're trying to show that she has grown. Oh, I hate these noise cancellation. Stop it. I hate the noise cancellation earpods. I need to take that off. Excuse me. No, thank you. No, I'm doing something. So anyway, Seema is talking to Carrie about how she's feeling pressure to be married and all this other stuff after they do this whole apartment search thing with Anthony. And I don't know, basically you see more of Carrie and Seema in a car smoking. And it come to find out she bought this apartment. All right, not a whole lot to get into. Let's go on to the next slide. So she goes out to lunch with her friends. Charlotte is still stupid. Everything about Charlotte, the whole, like, I don't know. I don't know why, but she drives me insane. She is insufferable. I just can't take her. Um, but anyway, I do like the fact that they show that Carrie is with her friends. Okay, this is actually kind of normal to me. She's with her friends, they're eating. This was more reminiscent of the Sex and the City franchise before they swapped over. I actually like this. I don't think anything's really wrong with this scene. I think that that's kind of typical and normal. I just wish that Charlotte wasn't that much of a dingbat. Like she is a total dingbat. I'm just over the Charlotte train. I just wish that they would do something with Charlotte. I don't know what it is, but she drives me. I think she takes the series down the way they are building out her character. All right, let's go on to the next one. All right, so here we see, you know what? I think I do have that clip. Hold on, let me just bring that back up. I'm not, look, you guys are gonna have to stop judging me. I'm trying to get my life together, and it was right here. It's so hard to go back and forth. Okay, let me see if I can bring it. All right, I'm gonna play just a few seconds of this.
I don't need those. My Madame Alexandra International Doll Collection? I don't want them either. They're culturally inappropriate. What?
I love the fact that her kids are trolling her, all the way trolling her. What is going on with this? Is okay. Her kids are trolling her for real. Like, so first of all, in comes Charlotte, still in these stupid outfits that I just kind of feel like, I know they say that's like Upper East Side, but I kind of feel like, in light of everything going on, I don't know what it is, but I just feel like at some point I should see her looking a little more chic versus Pollyanna. I don't feel like she has progressed. But I'm looking at now, you see to the right, that's her daughter, Rose Now Rock, totally like going in on her mom. Like, I don't like these ugly dolls. But what I do like about what they've done with these girls is they've made them the perfectly shady kids. I think that's normal. I think the kids nowadays are a lot more aware. They are shady as I don't know what, because I know my four kids are shady to me all the time. Like they all the way troll and shade me. I'm like, I don't like this. Not too disrespectful or anything like that, but I have no problems with this scene except for like, okay, let me go on to the next slide. There goes her in these ridiculous expressions. You mean you don't like my so and so, so and so, so and so dolls? I'm like, kids don't like stuff like that. With kids like nowadays, they're much more aware. They like a lot of their electronics. They like their art stuff. I get it, but what they're not into are these dolls and all that crazy wallpaper and stuff like that. That is not what kids these days are into. So I think it was perfectly normal for her kids to like go in like, no. And not only that, I just feel like Charlotte and all these crazy prints and flowers and stuff, like I think they're just doing too much. They're doing too much. And most of the kids that I know these days would not want all of that on their walls. They're not into that. Like that's like a completely different world. So I like the fact that they called it out. I don't like the fact that it's actually still on their walls. Like, and I know it seems like it's being petty, but like it just is. Like, so I would say kudos to the writers for kind of like having Charlotte's kids get Charlotte all the way together. Like, I actually thought that that was a good scene, except for Charlotte and her stupid expressions. Either I need to get on somebody's couch or they need to do something with this character. But anyway, these dolls that seem to like be very near and dear to her heart need to come out of the children's room and into some sort of home like mausoleum because the kids don't like them. I don't see what's so great about them, but that doesn't mean anything. Like I'm totally into like some regular old regular kind of stuff. For those of you who don't know, I'm an engineer by day. So yeah, like I would just be like, dolls. So take that with a grain of salt, although I did start collecting black Barbies, which is problematic in itself. I know, but hey, it's neither here nor there. So I think the reason why I am like leaning in on this, let me just say this. I have a note to myself. I think this is the thing. Like, I believe women can be intelligent and nurturing and sexy and all these things, right? Without being ditzy. Like you don't, it's like you don't have to be one or the other. right? You can be intelligent and feminine and soft and nurturing. I don't think femininity has to closely align with flowers and helplessness and ditziness. Now, don't get me wrong. I will lean in on my internal damsel in distress when necessary. But I think when I listen to someone like Charlotte, like this, like, I don't know why she's talking like that. Like, I don't think anybody listening to me would think, okay, this is a man, right? Although I have a deeper voice now because I've gotten older, but I don't sound like, oh my gosh, come help me. Like, I don't know. I just don't understand this character. And I think in real life, I would not dedicate any cycles to this person because I'd be like, I think you're a ding dong. Like, why are you doing this? Just be normal. Okay, and trust me, I like all my girly stuff too. Um, but I don't like watching women, I think, surrender their agency or power or anything like that. So that's the reason why I think she drives me insane because she is aligning womanhood and femininity with, I don't know. I just can't. I just cannot. Next, let's go on to At first, I thought it was creepy. Now, I didn't have the actual scenes. I couldn't find a picture of her actually having a flashback. So Miranda is having these daydreams about Shay. And at first, I was like, this is so disgusting. But then it became so funny to me. I don't even know why, because she kept having these flashbacks. And they were just so funny to me because they were so creepy and so stupid that they were funny. And I actually ended up I didn't really need to see the flashbacks, but they were just funny. I don't know. I didn't know if she was, like, in heat or something, like she was going through menopause, but, for whatever reason, I don't know. I was just kinda like, "Look, the writers have trolled us so badly. I'm at the point now, I felt like they beat me down, and they were, like, trying to force me to just, like, be assimilated into the ridiculousness, like, the whole suckosity of the whole situation." So, yeah, I definitely feel like I'm trolled by the writers, and now I'm just beat down. I'm like, "Okay, I guess it just is what it is. This is what we're doing. We're doing this." So, anyway, Miranda's having these creepy, like, flashbacks of Shay, like, get down with her, and I don't know why, it's just so fun to me. Anyway, it's just hilarious. I can't help it, but, let's see, did I take these out of order? Let me see what I did with the next slide. Yeah, I'm probably slightly out of order, so we're gonna skip ahead first, and I'll have to jump back. So Miranda and Nia, they meet up in the park, and I guess Nia wants Miranda to work with her on some, project. I don't know if it's a shelter or something because I'm gonna be honest, when I was watching this episode, I struggle with staying awake in certain scenes. I don't know why, but I do remember this scene. So they get together, um, and so Mia wants to talk to Miranda about a shelter or something, but somehow she starts talking about her IVF, um, I guess challenges, and so she talks about this lady. I can't remember her name, but whenever they have this couples night out, this is Nia now. Nia's talking to Miranda about like her and her husband have this couple friendship, and they go out and they meet with this couple, and this one lady continuously gets pregnant all the time, and this all she does is talk about babies and the whole nine yards. And so during this, Miranda has to give her advice because she's like, I'm tired of hearing about it, right? And Miranda's basically stirring her. Well, she's telling her she needs to stir the conversation. Okay. She needs to own, basically, like when I used to interview for different positions, depending on what program I'm going to or project, I remember my mentor would always tell me, you need to own the interviewing process for that particular project or task. You're interviewing them. And I took that to heart. So basically, she's like, "Hey, you know how to stir the conversation." Now, what I find interesting about this friendship, I guess they're trying to hurry the storyline along. So they're trying to hurry the friendship along. So I get it, writers. They are now friends. Heck, they may even be besties. Unlikely, but I get it. They're friends now. We get it. Miranda and Nia are friends. Okay. So, what I do like about this friendship, though, is Miranda has recovered her sense of intelligence and agency herself, right? Like she's no longer stupid. And I get the feeling she stopped with that weird throwing up on herself with the weird word choices. So Miranda is acting like a normal person. And she gives good advice, sound advice. Like, I like this Miranda. Like, the core of Miranda should still be there. Like, you can still grow, but Miranda was never a ding dong. So, kudos to the writers for at least dropping that kind of knowledge because my understanding is Miranda is like the older woman here. So she's all, even though she's taking this Nia's class, but she still is almost like, I don't want to say big sister, but she's dropping good like nuggets, good advice. So I like that. So I have this bullet up here, and I'm sure many of you have noticed it in previous episodes. Whenever they are in an episode with their friends, their melanated friends, they all compliment each other with their color choices and their outfit choices or whatever. So anyway, I just wanted to say that has not fallen. I have not. It's not deaf. I haven't been deaf to it. What's the saying? It hasn't gone unnoticed. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out that they're making them dress similarly. So anyway, I just wanted to just say that. All right, done with that. So next, we're going to talk about SEMA. Oh, skip ahead. So we've got to go back. Okay. So Seema is with Carrie, her new friend. Remember, Carrie's with her melanated friends, and we all know that Seema can do no wrong at this point because, like, Seema is, I think, is practically perfect in every way. There's something about, I don't even know her real name, but there's something about this character that pops on screen. I don't know what it is. Um, all the friendships, the new friendships, they're just beautiful, beautiful women. I think that they're doing a great job acting in their role. There's something about Seema that pops. I don't know what it is. But anyway, so they're shopping. They're preparing for Diwali. That's one of the Indian holidays that they celebrate. I don't even know if I should call it a holiday, but it's a very well-known Indian event that they celebrate. And so they're in the store, and Seema has to get a new, I would call it an outfit, okay? And so Seema's going back and forth. She's telling Carrie that, hey, this is coming up. And basically, the writers had to take the time out to educate us again with the toxic wokeness, the difference between cultural appropriation and appreciation. Okay. I gave it all the time I needed to give it. Sometimes I think when you are producing a show, now I am not a writer, I am not an entertainer. I can't speak to the intricacies of writing and delivering a message, but I think sometimes that people don't seem to understand that the audience is smarter than people give them credit for. And in this instance, I believe people think that the audience is stupid. And if they were smart, they would say, okay, this was a Gen X crowd. This was a Gen X crowd. So Gen X is going to get these nuances, right? So let's not insult the audience with the shenanigans. And I think that the audience will get the fact that, look, it's not that Carrie is trying to appropriate the culture. All they could have said was, hey, look, I'm going to invite you to my home. Do you want to come? Okay, now look, if you're going to come, you need to come in, something that we would traditionally wear. That would be my request, or something along. They could have just said it like that. And then she could have said, oh, okay. Well, would you mind helping me pick out something? Like, we get it. Because, see, if someone is inviting you into their space and then they say, hey, look, this is what we wear. you might want to try to wear something like this. Like then we would get it. We get it. You don't have to point it out. Doing too much. This is the reason why I think the Gen X audience is losing their mind because I feel like with the writers trolling the audience, it's like there's this assumption that we're stupid. Gen X is a highly intelligent group of people, and anybody else who's even watching it over it. All right, let's go ahead. What's next? Well, we're not going to get to this right here. I'm just going to stay on this for a second. So Carrie and Charlotte, I should have captured scenes from this, but so Carrie and Charlotte are together, and it's an interesting scene. I don't know why I didn't capture screen snaps of this, but so they are unpacking some boxes, and Charlotte references something from the 90s. Yes, we know. Everyone's older again. Anyway, so they're unpacking boxes, and Carrie's referencing to she's telling Charlotte that hey, she wants to spend the night, and she wants to spend the night in her new apartment. Her apartment. Let me go back. Do you guys remember this? This is the new apartment, the all white apartment. Yeah, over it. So she wants to spend the night in the new apartment. So they're unpacking boxes. All right. Or they're going through some boxes. And after Charlotte makes her comment about, I forgot what it was, and she references the 90s. Then she does this whole Marie Kondo reference of like minimalism and oh okay, yeah. So of course Carrie finds another ridiculous hat, and so she's gonna wear it in several scenes, I think, blah blah blah. But this is the thing. Now I want you to catch this. Why didn't I screen snap this? I can find it in the trailer. Let me see. Let me pull up that trailer for a second. Uh Look, don't be mad at me, guys. I'm getting my life together. It was right around this moment.
To move on. Try something else.
No. Stop. Okay, can you guys see that? They're unpacking here. And what happens is Carrie runs up against these records from Big, okay? And she starts having a moment. And so this is the thing. I thought that that was actually real. Like, that's a real life situation. A real life situation. You're unpacking items from your, that belong to your deceased, anything that belongs to your deceased spouse or that references your spouse can, make you feel some kind of way. So in this instance, yeah, she's getting really emotional. And I'm noticing again after so in previous episodes, it seemed like Carrie had to be the one to take care of Charlotte, but Charlotte is now here. She is again here when Carrie needed her in this vulnerable moment. Because now I'm seeing a little bit of Charlotte stepping up, not even knowing she was going to have to. I mean, she still sucks. So she's here in this moment. Carrie is having a moment when she starts to cry, and she's like, "You're gonna have to basically open up some of these boxes for me." She's just not ready, and I get it. See, this is the kind of stuff that should be in the episode. Okay, that's the kind of stuff that should be in the episode. So anyway, so Charlotte's like, okay, let's grab a couple of these things, and they wind up leaving out. So what happens is Carrie goes back to her apartment, and the all white apartment, and she's wearing that stupid hat. I could probably find a clip. No, it's not that hat. There's another hat that I don't want to go look for it because it becomes too much. But anyway, and she finds that the hat, I'm sorry, in her apartment, she can't figure out why there's this beeping noise. She calls Anthony. Let me see. Yeah, so she calls Anthony, and she basically, this is where the next scene comes in, because while there's something beeping, and Anthony's like, look, it is your washer, your dishwasher, and Carrie keeps slamming it and opening, slamming it, it's not working. Eventually she figures out that it's the washer or whatever it is. But Anyway, she's in her new apartment, the all white apartment with the crazy hat. I think it's just like a purple, I don't know, some contraption. But that's where Anthony's like, hey, look, I need you. Everybody needs Carrie. So Anthony is leaning in on Carrie. I'm like, yo, she's the one that's like lost her husband and like had the surgery and everything, right? But anyway, he's like, I need you to come with me so I don't make a bad decision about this facelift situation. So she agrees to go. Now we're not going to do this. I'm not going to go to the next slide yet. So they take this time. Let me see if I can find. I'm sorry, guys, because this is jacking me up. Nope, didn't do it. Why didn't I do this? I am so sorry. So look, in this moment, Nia, check this out. They gave Nia an entire package or scene to herself. Okay, she goes out to dinner with her husband and the whole fertile myrtle thing. So she's taking Miranda's advice and she's trying to stir the conversation. The problem is she's making a fool out of herself, and then she had to back down a little bit. Eventually, she finds out that fertile myrtle, whatever the name is of this lady, is pregnant again, which is tough because nobody wants to talk about it. So nobody wants to talk about it. And she's finding out that basically this lady's pregnant again and she's trying to get away from the conversation. So nevertheless, later on she goes home, screws her husband. Her husband is giving her basically like the support she needs. He's like, I got your back. You didn't have to like be all extra. Like you were doing too much today, but I got your back. But she screws her husband, and I guess all is well. But I just thought it was interesting that Nia got her own package. It was all about Nia. I was like, yes, Nia. Okay. Now, Brady did interrupt Miranda later on. I don't really care, but Miranda does have another creepy masturbation scene. So she was like, let me rephrase that. So they're showing Miranda several times throughout this episode masturbating and thinking about Shay. This has become the Miranda and Shay situation. I'm over it. But nevertheless, they had a good time together in her dreams. We're going to move on. So here we go. We're going to move on to the fact that now Carrie, hilarious. Let me go. I'm going to move to that section in the clip first. Let me move to that section in the clip because this to me, I don't know why I was like hee-hawing at this. Okay, let me bring this up. You guys are going to find this. I thought it was funny. Check this out.
What are we doing today? Oh, no, we're doing him today.
Okay, now did you guys see that? So basically, remember, Anthony called, like, so remember, Carrie's in her apartment. Anthony's calling her up. Hey, come with me. I don't want to go do anything crazy. And then she gets there, and the plastic surgeon's like, so what are we doing? And he thinks he's there for Carrie when actually they're there for Anthony. Look at Anthony's smug face. I am like cracking up because, in the meantime, the surgeon has already told Anthony, like, hey, you really don't need much of anything. Like, why are you in here, basically? In the meantime, he's going to Carrie. And she's like, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this. But he did tell Carrie, well, you look like 48, 49, which isn't really that much. Let me just rephrase that. If they're in their mid-50s, telling somebody to look 48, 49 to me is the same thing, right? It's like, it's not that big of a difference. But the fact of the matter is she's gotten older. But let me tell you what I do like about this scene. I think this is more realistic because for someone to be living in New York, especially if you're like an Upper East Side kind of chick or whatever, like women are typically chic and they are all about keeping themselves up. Look at Charlotte. Charlotte's face is all kinds of weird and twisted up, with the weird too much Botox. I don't know what she's got going on, right? So this is more realistic. When you go get yourself together. Now, I'm not saying she has to do that. What I am saying is in these 2021, 2022 streets, that is realistic, that women are getting work done. So they're going to the doctor, getting Botox and facelifts. So anyway, the doctor is saying, hey, we could do a half lift and we could do this, we could do that, and it'll roll back like 15 years. I just think this was a more realistic scene. It is. You cannot tell me that if someone in current times who's supposedly chic, especially living in New York, is not looking to get work done. So that's the reason why, although he shaded the heck out of her, it is more realistic. It is a realistic scene that she's going to be there, even though she's there to support her friend, that she will be getting some work done. Anyway, the next scene. All right, so the girls were at this picnic. So let me just say, for those of you who don't know, if you haven't figured it out, Charlotte still sucks. Look at her face. But this is where Miranda's like, hey, look, I've been having these daydreams and I've been masturbating all the time. And all I think about is Shay. So Charlotte's like, oh, yeah, I can see. She's kind of like all these wonderful things. But then Miranda's like, oh yeah, I had a thing in Carrie's apartment with her, and it's the most amazing thing that's ever happened. And then Charlotte, overreacts, or which I actually think in that scene was actually normal. I just don't understand why she's always like, that's actually normal. If your friend who's married all of a sudden is like, hey, I got down with the get down in Carrie's apartment while she was lying on the bed, poor Pete on her own like comforter. And oh, I am married. I think I might be a lesbian now. Now she didn't use all these words, but like actually in this scene, it is okay to be like, wait, what? What is going on? I just think that Charlotte is still stupid. Then she had the audacity to say to Miranda, "You're not progressive enough for this." And I'm like, but Charlotte, you're still walking around in these Pollyanna outfits. Seriously. Pollyanna. And in this episode, she says, hey, you know what? Why can't we all just like stay the same? I'm like, you're the same one who says somebody's not progressive enough, but you want everybody to stay the same? You have not progressed out of these same Pollyanna outfits. You haven't progressed out of that old version of what was considered feminine. Femininity is not walking around in Pollyanna outfits, acting like a ditz. Femininity is much more than that. It's really an internal thing. There's a warmthness, there's a nurturing, but femininity does not mean that you're lacking in intelligence, does not mean that you can't have a strong constitution about yourself. It doesn't mean you're masculine. It doesn't mean you have to talk like a ditz. So for her to have the audacity to say that Miranda isn't like progressive enough, I'm like, you're not progressive enough. You haven't progressed out of your own. You're still trying to remain the same. You have the same hairstyle. You have the same like weird kind of barrette in the back of your head. You have the same whacked out dressing. You've got these ugly dolls in your children's room with that ugly wallpaper with all these flowers because you think that defines femininity. Get out of here. You can miss me with that. You can all the way miss me with that. But the scene itself was a good scene. There were some other clips that were that came out where Carrie had to explain them again as far as what it meant in that context in reference to Shay. But I just want to say for the record, if you haven't figured it out, Charlotte still sucks. She all the way sucks. She sucks balls. And if I haven't made that clear, make sure you understand right now. Charlotte sucks. Okay? I should have had something come across the screen that says Charlotte sucks. All right, got that off my chest. So we talked about the plastic surgeon. That is actually realistic. People don't want to admit it. That is realistic. Women who are living in areas like that and who want to remain chic and keep up with themselves, they are getting work done. Okay. So I appreciate in the beginning where Miranda's like, well, look, we shouldn't have to dye our hair. And that's okay too. Like, I think Miranda is a beautiful woman. She can rock gray, she can rock her red. The wig isn't a good wig, actually, but Miranda, I think, probably should go back to dyeing her hair. Nevertheless, women are getting work done. Look at Charlotte's effed up face. She keeps doing that weird stuff with her mouth. I don't know what's going on. She's like a puppet. So, okay. But during this picnic now, I just want to say Charlotte is getting mad. Miranda gets mad. So everyone's mad. And then Miranda wants to get up and walk away. And here, Carrie, the one who's always so used to being the most self-centered one, I think the writers got us. Let me tell you the reason why. Carrie seems to be doing more growing than anybody. Carrie's the one who's calling out the fact that, hey, look, we can't have people leaving and walking away because there's been enough loss. Charlotte says to Miranda that she's not progressive, right? And then she's like, she calls out the fact, hey, look, you are going through a midlife crisis. And I actually liked it. The problem is, I don't think Charlotte realizes that she's in her own weird kind of crisis too. Okay. But she calls it out. You're going through a crisis. And there's a lot that, look, Miranda quit her job, going back to school, doing Shay, smoke gunning, shotgunning the weed and all that stuff like that. Miranda's going through a lot, ordering books, drinking a lot, not drinking a lot, getting done, not getting done. There's a lot going on with Miranda. And Charlotte is simply calling it out. You're going through the midlife crisis. You are married. It's still infidelity. I don't care how you want to, it's still infidelity. So I just thought that was interesting. And then she said, you should have just simply dyed your hair. Now, I just want to say for the record, I am all here for a certain level of petty because that's what happens in real arguments. Because there's the real stuff you want to talk about, like, hey, I think you're going through a midlife crisis. You probably should have just dyed your hair. Like, I can see myself having, like, if I had a conversation with some friends and saying something like, hey, this doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. And by the way, since we're on it, I liked when you dyed your hair. I don't know, whatever the situation is. I liked because you were hot. Not that you're not, but you were hotter. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But that's realistic. The fact of the matter is, in that moment, she had a certain amount of petty, which I was liking, even though I still think that Charlotte sucks. But that was reality. She said, you're going through a midlife crisis and you should have just dyed your hair. I was here for it. And I will say this, when Charlotte made that comment, hey, why can't we all just stay in the same place or something like that, remain the same? Carrie made the best statement. Carrie says, some don't have the luxury. You know what? I think I have hold on a second. I even think I have a thing where I get to clap because that was perfect. Yes. You see that? That was the perfect, perfect line. She says, some of us do not have the luxury to stay the same. And that is Charlotte's midlife crisis. She's trying to stay the same look, the same ugly beret, the same ugly outfits, the same like weird thing that she does. Like, I don't understand that animation thing she does where she's like it's just so weird with the weird facial and the weird mouth thing she does. Yes. Yes. She dropped like Carrie straight up dropped that bomb. Some of us don't have the luxury of staying the same. I'm just saying. All right, so look, we're gonna go ahead and move on. Let me take the bomb drop off. Okay, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Y'all want to stop judging me? Okay, I'm getting through it. I got a lot of activity going on around here, so there's never the perfect time. Okay, here we are. There's the Wally. Okay, so this is the SEMA package again, but it's with Carrie. And so basically a lot of things come out here. SEMA's parents think that SEMA's with a guy named Derek or David, or I don't even remember the guy's name. Did I even write it down? Dennis. That's the name. Dennis. Okay. Carrie's like, oh, you could tell that she's putting it together. Let me tell you why I was disappointed with this scene. For the for those of you who are even remotely aware, who are not living under a rock, we know when Indians and Pakistanis and everything like that, when they're having these celebrations, they are flat out gorgeous. Okay. So if they're celebrating Diwali or something like that, we know they are serving looks. The saris are going to be gorge. The faces are going to be gorge. All of the makeup and the henna and everything gorge. I didn't get a chance to see enough of that. I thought the lighting was too dark. They should have had a 20 or 30-second like something, or maybe a dance or something, because it's a celebration, right? So we didn't see enough of that. That was the perfect not perfect the perfect opportunity to bring that in so that we could see that. We could see that. I mean, I've seen some of it on television or whatever before, but you want to see the colors, the richness in the colors. That was an 1822 karat gold that they wear. Now, I say this isn't the same thing, but I used to live in Turkey, so I remember what the gold and the colors and everything look like. I'm not saying it's the same as living in India or Pakistan or anything like that, anything near the Kashmir. Okay, take that with a grain of salt. But what I will say is when you're living in that area, or if you visited anything remotely close to that area, gorge. So for them to not take the time, and I know it's not about that, but if you're going to bring up this whole Diwali thing and not show the fashion, the gorgeousness, any sort of performance, anything, you can't sit here and give us all this toxic wokeness, and then when the time comes, you don't show us much of anything. Maybe I fell asleep on that part. I don't know. But nevertheless, so we're doing the Diwali thing. Seema basically has lied to her parents and made up some character named Dennis that she's with, that he's a traveling doctor or travel with no borders or whatever it is, doctors of no borders or whatever it is. So Carrie picks that up. I don't like Carrie's outfit, by the way. I guess because of the lighting or something. Like, I just feel like I wanted to see the colors. But I like the friendship. Okay, so they basically, she has to cover for Seema. So we basically find out that Seema has a lot of issues. This not being married, having a husband, thing is really weighing heavily on her and her family dynamic. Her parents want her to be happy. They want to see her with a husband, and Seema doesn't want to just be with anybody. So this seems to be very prevalent in the character development of Seema. And let me just say, for a gratuitous, I don't know, I just have to say this out here one more time. I don't think Seema can really do anything wrong, because there's something about her that is so striking and she's just so electric. So she can get up on the screen with a dictionary and read the letter A, and I would be like, she's amazing. Okay. So I just wanted to put that out there one more time. But we do realize that she's got issues. Like, the chick's got problems, and I'm okay with it. I want to see all of this play out, as long as we just all agree that Charlotte still sucks. Okay. So Carrie gets in the car with Seema. She admits that she hates the new apartment. So they said they're going to sell the apartment, and after they sell she's going to sell the apartment, and then my husband is trying to get my attention. Oh, by the way, they're showing the whole smoking thing. I don't know why they had to bring back the smoking thing. Why? Why does Carrie have to go back to smoking? I don't get it. So, but I do love the fact that Carrie is back to wearing her necklace. I didn't bring it in. I should have brought it in. She's back to wearing her Carrie necklace. That's kind of cool. They went back to some old stuff. See, I can do that. I don't understand why they have to show them in a car smoking. But anyway, so Carrie's like, I hate the apartment. Seema's like, we'll sell it. Okay. This is going to take about 30 seconds or so to wrap this up. Charlotte realizes she needs to remove the dolls. And by the way, I didn't say this earlier. Rose, now Rock, is like, I hate this thing over top of my bed. The thing that says Rose. If we go back, I'm not sure if you can see over her bed, it says Rose. It's really ugly. So Rose gets a picture to cover it up. Miranda texts Shay. I can't remember what she said. I guess they want to get together, and I don't know. I don't really care. And then Carrie leaves her house in a red dress. So that's pretty much it. So in conclusion, this is a thing. I think that if I go back to my slides, I think this episode sucked less. I still believe the writers have trolled us. I think they assume that the audience is stupid and that we can't pick up nuances. Like I said earlier, you don't have to say, hey, this is cultural appropriation, or this is a cultural appreciation versus cultural appropriation. We would have picked up that nuance simply by her saying, hey, we're having a Diwali celebration. Won't you come to my house or come to my family's estate or whatever? And you know what? You should come in a sorry. Let me help you pick one out. Do you want to come? Or something along those lines. We get it. Because in that moment, we know, hey, she's been invited into those spaces and she has been told, hey, I want you to wear a sari. She's not appropriating anything. Okay, so that's it. I think that it sucks less. I think that Carrie, in my opinion, is doing the most growing. I think it's great that Charlotte is calling out Miranda's midlife crisis, but Charlotte has a blind spot. She doesn't realize that she's really stupid. She wears these stupid outfits. She's got this weird thing that she does, like, and then the weird thing she does with her mouth, which I don't understand. And that's it. And all their melanated friends are fabulous. And that's just where I'm at with it. All right, so let me go ahead and end this. Um, don't talk about my hair. I'm home on break. And that's it. I'm just going to go ahead and be out.